Are you ready to be more productive in your home and say goodbye to the dreaded mom guilt associated with a messy house and chaotic days? Hey, my name's Rachel, and the Mama Gets It Done podcast is for the everyday mom. Yes, even those hot mess moms who just need a little grace and a few tips for getting more done in your day. If you're ready to figure out how to stop hating cooking every night, how to give chaotic days a little more structure, and how to find more time for you in this crazy mom life, then you are in the right place. Welcome back, mama friends. This week, we are jumping into monthly versus weekly meal planning, like I said before. And I am so excited to dive deep into this for just a little bit and really analyze what could be best for you and your family. If you don't know, I'm very passionate about meal planning and meal prepping. So this is like my jam. I got you. So I can't tell you how many times I have heard this before. I have tried meal planning, but it just doesn't work because XYZ or whatever. And I think a lot of times we think that meal planning is supposed to be this thing that is easy and natural and something that you shouldn't have any issues doing. But no, this is not something you're gonna get right away. You have to figure out what works for you and your family, and it takes practice. Like, plain and simple, it takes practice. Meal planning is not this natural skill that you're just gonna know how to do and be able to figure out at the drop of a hat, unfortunately. So, to learn this skill, we need to start at the beginning here and analyze what's actually going to work for our family so that we don't keep running in circles trying to meal plan one way when it's actually not going to fit our lifestyle. One thing that I can tell you though is regardless of your family life and situation, if you meal plan but don't prep, you're making it 10,000 times harder on yourself, which sucks, right? So, how do you find the right type of meal prep and meal planning that works for you? Because we're going to take these hand in hand, to be honest. There are two types that we're going to talk about, which is monthly and weekly. And I'm going to run down through a few traits of each so that you can see what fits in what. And I'm going to talk about why this is so good. Okay, so let's talk about weekly meal prep first. This is the most traditional way of meal planning. A lot of people like to just make a list of weekly meals and go for it that way. If you've listened to any of my past episodes on meal planning and prepping, or whatever, you have probably seen that I'm not a massive fan of just like writing down 5 meals for the week and saying, hey, my meal plan is done. I think it's really unsustainable. I think you're probably setting yourself up for failure. If you want to learn more about why and all that jazz, I will make sure that we have the meal planning episodes we've done so far, or I have done so far, linked in the show notes so that you can actually listen to those episodes yourself and really analyze like, oh, what am I doing wrong here? But we're going to keep it real simple this week, and we're just talking about the type of meal planning and prepping so that you can have one more thing down in your arsenal here to know about yourself, so that we actually approach this in a way that it gets done and it doesn't like we don't have all this food going bad in our fridge, right? Because that happens. So, here's the thing about weekly meal prep. It is perfect for people who love like fresher foods. Like, I hate the word fresh. Let's side note for just a second. I hate the word fresh because it means different things to different people. But in this instance, when I'm saying fresher foods, I mean fresh salads, fruits, veggies. Side note, another side note to the side note. Frozen fruit and veggies are actually just as nutritious. And so don't worry about the nutritional value of those things. I am just saying, if you prefer the taste of a strawberry that hasn't been frozen, weekly meal prep is the way to go for you, right? Or you like salads in general. Salads are not easy and not something I recommend. to meal prep for the freezer or for way, way ahead of time. Obviously, if you have seen before, you can weekly meal prep salads, which is why it's in this section. You can do like glass jars and have all your salad stuff stacked. And I'm actually doing a deep dive into those myself and doing a lot of testing right now on those, and they're really exciting. You can chop up different fruits and veggies ahead of time for weekly meal prep. Another thing that goes really good with weekly meal prep is going to be fully cooked lunches. If you know me, you know I don't like to do fully I don't like to do a lot of fully cooked freezer meals. Some work excellent and some are terrible. So, a lot of fully cooked lunches are way better for a weekly meal prep. You can do, let's give you an example of like different chicken and rice, a few for the week, or chicken and vegetables, or literally anything that you make for dinner. Basically, you can make as a meal prep even in those awesome little meal prep containers to prep your lunch for the week. And usually it takes a minimal amount of time, right? So that it's not super, super time heavy when you're actually going from day to day and you're like, oh, look, I have a lunch ready. I don't have to eat out. I don't have to break my diet. I don't have to stress or just eat like a granola bar or whatever you brought. It makes life so much easier when we take that step. Weekly meal planning and prepping is also a really great option for somebody who does not want to do this for a month at a time because that is time heavy, right? It takes me about 4 hours to prep a month of dinners, which is way shorter than it would take me to actually cook normally every night, but it's still a time commitment. And there's a time commitment in planning out those meals as well. If you haven't checked them out before, I kind of do all the hard work for you. If you do want to check out monthly meal prep in my freezer meal guides, it's just a resource if you need it. I'll put it in the show notes below. Okay. So those are the things I want you to think about. So are you a weekly meal prep person? Maybe. Maybe. So let me go through monthly meal prep. Monthly meal preps are really good if you're okay with some repeat meals. We usually repeat meals in a 2-week rotation. So I will do 2 weeks of completely unique meals and then we'll repeat those 2 weeks again. Usually for me, since there is like 14 days in between those meals, I don't care. 14 days is enough time for me. That's not enough time for some other people. So, especially if you're kind of like a mood eater, this might not work as well for you, but having some options prepped ahead could be massively helpful. It's perfect for people who struggle with consistent meal planning too. Do it if you do it once a month and it's done, the meal prepping and the planning, it can be a massive game changer for someone who just does not have the energy or the brain power, honestly, to do this every single week on a consistent basis. Because once you have it done all at one time, you can, when you're feeling like on a higher energy day, you can get it all done. And then you're going to benefit all month long. So, monthly meal prep is perfect for things like dump meals, sandwiches. If you haven't thought about it before, you can totally freeze sandwiches ahead of time. I'll also link some resources on that below. This one's going to be full of links, you guys, because I have so many good things out there that you guys are going to want for this. But yes, I will prep like lots of sandwiches ahead of time for my kids so I can literally just grab them for their lunch and go. It's awesome. Things like breakfast burritos. You can prep smoothie bags, like little bags with everything you need for your smoothie and then dump in, depending on if it can be frozen or not. Cooked proteins are always really an easy thing that you can freeze. And backup meals. So, any kind of backup meal, I would say, is like your easy, just takes a minute type of meals. So, I would say, like, spaghetti is a solid backup meal for my family. I can have the spaghetti sauce, like, totally all the way done and frozen, like the hamburger, the mushrooms, because we like mushrooms in ours, and the sauce already done. I could even freeze the noodles, but sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. Undercook the noodles if you're gonna freeze them. Just a hot tip. But that's one thing that I can always just have on hand in my freezer. So when I need a quick meal that wasn't planned, but I just need something now, I can grab it and go. We love the easy meals, right? So when you're thinking about this whole thing of weekly versus monthly, then weekly is really good for people who can stick to this routine, can keep up with all the prep that needs to be done on a weekly basis. Monthly prep is better for somebody who maybe doesn't thrive on that schedule so well. Maybe they just need things for their busy, crazy lifestyle because they're not going to be able to keep up with this every single week. And that's okay. It really just depends on what you can handle. So, with all of this said, I'm going to give you my prep routine and kind of share how I handle this because I do a hybrid of both. So, weekly, I wash all of our fruits and veggies. I boil some eggs for the week. I make chicken for lunch salads. Like this is about an hour of like prep time each month. And I might as well during this same time go ahead and put together a few lunch boxes for my kids. I won't do 5 because honestly, that's hard to keep all 5 lunch boxes in the fridge. And especially the more kids you get, the harder that gets. So I might prep a little things ahead so that I already have them ready to go for lunches specifically. Monthly, I prep dinners, right? Just like we just talked about, I prep dinners for my month. And then I cook large amounts of meats that can be for grab and go meals. So, like I said, this can be like my meat pasta sauce. Shredded chicken is always something awesome to have on hand. Pulled pork, always something awesome to have on hand. It just makes life easier. So, friend, what do you think? What is your weekly or monthly routine going to look like? If you have more questions and you really want to dive deeper into this, you can check out all my meal planning stuff on Instagram and TikTok for some super awesome resources. Both of them, This Crafty Home. And feel free to message me with questions about your lifestyle and maybe figure out what is best for you and how can you tackle this well. I'm more than happy to help. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Mama Gets It Done podcast. Please take the time to rate and review it if you loved it as much as I do. Give yourself a little bit of grace and a whole lot of coffee this week, friend. Bye.